TCI is brought to you by Spendthrift Farm Stallion Tisway, sire of 3-year-old stakes winners Tiz Imaginary and Bearsway from his first crop to race. There's still time to breed secure in 2016.
Welcome back to TCI, your inside track to the Triple Crown. Alongside Joel Cunningham, I'm John Siegel. Well, Joel, it looks like we're not going to get a Triple Crown winner. You know, it was one of those things I was really hoping that we would have the streak alive going into Belmont. The Nyquist would remain undefeated, and it'd be one of those years where we'd have a lot of anticipation. But I got to give it to Exaggerator. It was your pick. Joel, the strategy, it really was a tale of two rides. You know, you saw Nyquist, a definite strategy to get out of the gate early, and man, did he ever do that. But the weird thing was, why did he stay so wide? It's just very confusing for me.
That's where I think he lost the race. And look, I don't think you'd beat Exaggerator no matter what kind of trip he had, just because, you know, it was very clear that Exaggerator, based on that pace scenario, if it's going to be a contentious enough pace, I don't really care if it was an ultra fast pace or a moderate pace. The idea is for, you know, a horse like Nyquist to be occupied, and he certainly was occupied by Uncle Lino, who was able to push him out going into the first turn. Now, what I found interesting there was that clearly the jockeys felt like the crown of the racetrack was where you needed to be, and I understand there was less water on the surface there, and the rail looked washed out. The problem is, when you're running a straight line, it's not a big deal. You're not losing a lot of ground. But once you hit the turns and you're turning left, it's like track and field. The further you are from the rail, the further ground you're covering, the more distance you're traveling. So I do think that Mario and all those horses that decided to park out on the track a little bit clearly lost ground, John. I mean, they gave up a lot of grounds on both turns. Right. That affected, to a degree, the outcome of the race and how far he was beaten. But had they saved ground in there, would Exaggerator still been able to, you know, who knows? I mean, I'm guessing here.
Sure. But
based on the fact I know Exaggerator loves that track and the way he ran in there, I mean, he had him at the quarter pole easily, lugs in a little bit, and I think kind of pulls up a little and still wins by 3.5 lengths comfortably. So to me, I just think it was Exaggerator's day once Nyquist had a contentious pace, but where he lost ground wasn't the fact that they went 22 and change early, because if you look at it, by the time they hit 3/4, they almost go 3/4 in 1:12. So basically that internal half mile is 50 seconds. That's slow for those type horses. No doubt they slowed, and who knows how the track was playing. Maybe it was a little sticky, maybe it was a little cuppy, but I do know this, Exaggerator along the inside, he probably ran that internal half mile around 48 seconds. By the time they hit the 5/8 pole, or almost the half mile pole, Kent's got that horse within a length. And you knew it was over at that point. In my opinion, once I saw Kent have that horse going in the far turn right there, to me it was over. It's a matter of him getting out, and he was going to win the race.
Yeah, that was the thing that scared me a little bit. We'll go to the stretch here, and you'll see that Kent's already got the horse out. But there was a minute there where I was like, man, he's going to get locked in. He takes the horse very, very similar to the Santa Anita Derby, that slingshot ride. Take us home from here.
I mean, he has an explosive turn of foot, particularly over a wet track. We know he loves it. Once he went by Stradivari, turn of home, I knew the horse was going to win the race. It's a matter of how far. I do like how Nyquist fought back here. He clearly re-engages, but I think a lot of that is this horse lugging in, maybe pulling himself up. He still wins by 3.5, a very good, comfortable margin, but this race was over at the quarter pole. And you saw Cherry Wine there, another horse that took advantage of not going wide. He was like Kent. Corey loves the fence. He was able to save ground, make that one run, and once, you know, down the second, one of the longest stretches in North America, he was able to get up and actually beat Nyquist at, 17-1 for second. So brilliant ride there, kind of the tail of the verb this year with Cherry Wine rallying up for second place there. But I like all four finishers, particularly Stradivari. I mean, a horse had some trouble out of the gate. That was the big shock of the race for me, is that his tactical speed wasn't even able to be used. That's how fast the pace was early into the first turn. Once he broke a little sluggish, Johnny B had to tuck him in smartly. To me, he had somewhat of a wide trip too. Lightly raced horse, but that was a very good effort from Stradivari. Watch out for him on the Travers scene later on this summer. I think he's a big-time talent.
All right, well, we leave the Preakness behind now. We move on to the Belmont. And we don't even really have probables at this point, but we're just going off of horses that we think could compete in there, and we put together a TCI top 10. Yeah. You know, it's interesting to me when I look at this list, or you mentioned that you saw Cherry Wine running late. I don't see Cherry Wine on this list.
Yeah, Cherry Wine doesn't make the top 10 for me, John, and we've done this in the past. You know, right on Curlin. Remember when he rallied up to, California Chrome that year, and everybody kind of saw him as a wise guy horse by Curlin.
Right.
Coming back in the Belmont Stakes, I think he ran dead last or thereabouts, way in the back of the pack. So, again, I look for a very particular profile. This race is about pedigree, pedigree, pedigree. brilliance, turn of foot, all that stuff doesn't matter in this. It's all about grinding it out. It's a battle of attrition, that final quarter of a mile. Once they turn for home, you're not going to see any brilliant performances. You're not going to even see much change in position, in my opinion. Whoever can get themselves that spot and have the bottom of their pedigree take them to the wire, that's so important to me at a 1.5 mile distance. And we've talked about the methodology a ton in past years. We'll get to that next week, and we'll break down the numbers a little more in terms of how I see this. But for right now, the top 10 does not include Cherry Wine. And you'll notice Exaggerator is not even in the top 5 for me.
Yeah, it's a little strange. Exaggerator so far down the list, but I know you're going to talk more about that in upcoming weeks and why that you feel like these horses are where they are. But I want to talk about one more horse before we go, and that's Destin. I see you got him in at number 1. You must like the way this horse is coming into the Belmont.
Well, he just checks a lot of boxes for this. I mean, from a stamina standpoint, everything I look for there, you know, the fact that he's a cruising speed kind of horse on his home track, he comes in so fresh. You know, he's able to me, he's that kind of horse that's able to clip along, you know, 12.5-second furlongs and still be able to get to the bottom of his pedigree to finish up in the stretch of going 1.5 miles. When I look at, you know, all of his, when I look at his pedigree from a numbers standpoint, he fits the profile the best for me. So right now I have him in the top 10, and we'll see, you know, who winds up going in this race, John. Maybe that'll change, but for right now, he has that best profile when I'm looking at a 1.5 mile dirt horse coming into this race.
All right, well, I look forward to hearing more of your thoughts going into the Belmont Stakes next week. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you tune in next week. We're going to really dive into the pedigrees and the methodology of why we pick these Belmont horses.